Hello, my name is Richard Brantley with University Lands. What you're about to see is just a video illustration of brush removal from pasture land in West Texas. We're going to go to the field here in just a few minutes and visit with a fella that has a machine. Individually he developed and pioneered this technique. I want everybody to understand we're not promoting him or his company. We do advocate this technique for brush removal for things such as pipelines, power lines, rights-of-ways of all types. It's much more effective in our opinion for long-term care of the range. You don't get a lot of resprout, regrowth with mesquite and brush like you do when you doze it over or you shred it over. Anyway, we're going to go to the field. You'll see this here in just a few minutes. Alright, good morning. This is Richard Brantley and Oral Turner. We're in a pasture just north of Midland, Texas. The purpose of this visit this morning is to demonstrate a grubbing procedure that Oral pretty much pioneered with his track hole grubber. Let him introduce himself and maybe tell you a little bit about it. And just want to try to produce a video here that we can use to show people what we prefer, a method that we prefer as far as brush removal in pastures for such things as pipelines, power lines, seismic chutes, and that sort of thing. Again, I'm Richard Brantley, University Lands.
Yeah, hello folks, this is Oral Turner, and again I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to show you what we can do here with this tool and machine, which has revolutionized the land clearing industry. And we've done worked quite a bit with the university and also with Texas A&M people in the range management part to get this thing developed. And we are proud of the root removal that you can get with this thing with the minimal amount of damage to either your right-of-way, your pasture, if you're doing pasture reclamation, right-of-ways as far as power line, pipeline, or like I said, in seismic chutes. It's one of the fastest methods and the most productive methods that you can have to get a right-of-way cleaned up, and it'll be at least, I'm going to say 5 years or longer before you start having any more brush encroachment on it. And a lot of the landowners have gone to this type of system. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get cranked up, and then we'll show you what we can do.
Okay. One of the reasons the university prefers this method, just so that we're real clear from the get-go here, is because the brush, the root system is virtually removed. He'll reach down below this mesquite. Mesquite is a voracious plant, as we all know, and encroachment is a big problem. But if you just clip it off at the surface, or if you doze it over with a bulldozer, you leave that crown in the ground and you have a resprout. Instead of one trunk, you get 15 or 20 coming back up, and it becomes very fierce and very hard to control. So with that, we're going to go ahead and let him fire the machine up, and we'll take some videos of that, and I'll do a little description of what I'm seeing as we go. All right. Before we get the machine fired up, let's just take just a minute and look at this small mesquite. This is about a 4.5, 5 foot mesquite that has been pulled up with the grubber, and just to kind of illustrate the root system, you can see Oral holding it there.
Here's ground level.
You know, ground level's right there, and we've got we've got 5 foot, maybe 5 foot up on top. A small plant as these things go, and we've got 4.5 feet going down below. So it's it's got a system there that's going to support it, even if you just clip it off at the surface. Alright, he's in the machine and he's running. Now what he's going to do is clear about a 15-foot right-of-way. And again, just small brush, he may just run over and leave, and that's really what the university would prefer on seismic chutes and things like that. We're not trying to clear cut the land, just trying to make a path for people to get through and do a job. Now, if he hits a clearing like that, he can advance at about 3 miles an hour and just move straight forward to the next substantive brush. That's one of the things that makes this rather appealing, is that you don't have to push like a dozer. You don't have to push with a blade. Look back down this clearing that he's laid out for us here, and you can see what that looks like back behind us. Pretty obvious that you can move equipment back down that clearing. You can see that he's running a Model 200D John Deere excavator. This tool that he attaches to the arm is something that he designed himself, and there's a lot of people that made similar devices. Sweeping that brush out of the way. This is very sandy soil, so those roots come out pretty much intact, as you can see. It's a good look at the root system on this mesquite. This mesquite's probably, 10 to 12 feet tall. He's pulled up a pretty big clump there. You can see that crown right there at the base, just under the surface of the soil, and how those roots, go in every direction. But they come out pretty much intact in this sand, and that's why if we look back up this lane, you can see that it opens it up pretty good, plenty good for lots of activities in the water. The thing we like about this is if you hit a spot, rather sparse mesquite, you can just track right on across this thing. This machine will move 3 to 4 miles an hour in one direction. Alright, that's the process. That's what it looks like. Alright, I'm going to step this off, this distance that he cleared, and we'll have a time lapse on the video, so we'll know about how much time it took to make that distance. Light mesquite, probably dense in places, but it's scattered. So anyway, you can see the difference, where he clear cut that path. I'm going to step this off so we'll know the distance, and then we can calculate the time and travel speed. One final look from the starting point back toward the ending point. We moved about 150 paces. I think I have about a 2.5 foot pace, so that's the distance, and we'll look at the time. One more look back down the right of way. You can see how it's cleared and open, ready for a pipeline, seismic chute, fence line, whatever. Brantley again. We've returned from the field, and I just ran some calculations. We covered 375 feet in about 12.5 minutes, and if you run the numbers on that, 30 feet per minute is what you get. 60 minutes an hour, that's 1,800 feet per hour, times 8 hours, be about 14,400 feet per day, or about 2.7 miles. Don't know about the cost on this, but those of you who are interested in this can figure that out on a cost per mile for yourselves. But anyway, that was kind of the experience of this video and the brush density that we observed today.